It is currently 9:30 p.m. It is Friday, February 10th, 2023. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the Toronto Island School. When I was a young kid in Toronto, I want to say I want to say this was during elementary school. I don't remember what grade it was, but I remember I was relatively young, and the school arranged for like a weekend trip out to the Toronto Islands, where we stayed at the Toronto Island School. It's got like a dormitory with like these bunk beds, and so me and a bunch of classmates and other students from other classes. We slept in these dorms, and that was significant to me because that was like the very first time I had ever slept away from my family. I'd never been to camp before that time, and I didn't have too many of those experiences growing up. We didn't have a ton of money when I was a kid, and so it's not like we attended camps and things like that. So I remember this Toronto Island School experience being fairly inexpensive. It was probably why we were able to do it. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Amongst the sort of experiences that I really treasured from that, one was just staying in a dorm with a bunch of other kids my age in bunk beds. We didn't have a bunk bed at home, right? Also, that was a very new thing for me too, and just kind of being around like kids, at night. That was kind of fun. I distinctly remember going out on like a nighttime hike. I don't know if that would be considered safe these days, but we did go on a nighttime hike, and we were provided binoculars, and I saw an owl. Our guide found an owl and pointed it out to us, so that was amazing. I actually come to think of it, that may be the only time I've ever seen a wild owl in real life. We got these owl pellets that we got to kind of break apart and look inside of, and the one that I got had, the skull of a mouse in it. Oh, it was just very cool, for like a little kid. That kind of stuff. Growing up in the city, I should add. That stuff was just super interesting to me, and I as a kid was kind of more science leaning, and I was very interested in animals. I read about animals from books at the library. Took out lots and lots of books on animals, and so being able to go out and actually see animals was really cool. The one other thing I wanted to mention was that we did play this kind of game. This was during the daytime, not at nighttime, where all the kids were kind of assembled to play this sort of a predator prey type of game. We were sort of modeling the ecosystem, and so we all got assigned an animal, right? Some of us were prey animals, some of us were predator animals, and we got like these little tags that kind of represented our lives, right? And obviously there were a lot more prey animals, more kids being prey animals, and we had fewer lives, so to speak, and there were fewer kids who played the predators, right? I remember, and the predators would collect these little lives tokens from the prey that they captured. And I remember, like, if you ran out of tokens, you would be out of the game. I At the time I thought, oh man, I'm a pretty good runner. They'll probably pick me to be a predator animal, and because that's kind of how they chose the roles. It wasn't like a random thing. They distinctly picked like the better runners, the more athletic kids to be the predator, and the sort of the the rest got to be prey. But I remember distinctly thinking to myself, I'm a pretty good runner. I may not be a good distance runner, but I'm a pretty decent sprinter. I'm sure they're gonna make me a predator animal. But nope. I was assigned a prey. I think I was like a mouse or something. Yeah, I remember being pretty disappointed. Because at that time, it like made sense to me that I would want to be a predator. If I had to be an animal, I would be a predator animal because that way I'm doing the hunting. My life is not at danger the way prey animals are, right? And you tend to think about things like a human being. I don't think mice have aspirations to go to medical school and become a doctor, right? So they clearly are different than humans. But yeah, as a kid anyway, I remember thinking that I don't want to be in danger. I don't want to lose my life. I have so much to look forward to, so I'd rather be a predator, that kind of thing. But I'm mentioning this because now as an adult, I think my feelings towards this has changed drastically. I would much rather be a prey animal, which sounds kind of weird, right? But the thing is, if you think about it, most prey animals, they eat like what, vegetation, plants, fruits, berries, stuff that's just kind of all over the place, right? So you as a prey animal, just imagine like you're just surrounded by food. And if you wanted food, you could very easily go and eat it off the ground, climb a tree, grab some berries, grab some nuts. It's actually pretty nice. Compare that to a predator, where every time you wanted to eat, you literally have to go and hunt. And predator animals are not as successful at hunting as you might think. One of the most successful predators are like regular domestic cats, and even then they might catch like 30% of the prey that they go after. So the truth is, being a predator, you may not be very successful at catching a meal. So you're going to go hungry. And I'm not saying that like predator animals can't be successful. I mean, obviously the ecosystem exists in some kind of balance, so they are able to achieve some success. But like clearly, I think predator animals go hungry a bit more often than prey animals. And the thing is, in terms of danger, right? Truth is, just because you're a predator doesn't mean you can't be a prey to another predator. So your life is still at danger, even if you are a predator. And sometimes there's even fighting between individuals of the same species because resources are a bit more scarce, right? You need a bit more hunting ground, and so you might run into another wolf, and so you'll fight each other, and so there's still danger even as a predator. Anyway, I just think that it's a funny thing. I distinctly remember being a kid, and in a game where I got to be predator or prey, that I would rather be a predator. But as an adult, I would probably prefer to be a prey animal. But anyway, I also wanted to just use this opportunity to talk about the Toronto Island School. Just a very magical time in my life. And I looked it up online. I think it still exists, and I think they're still open. I hope kids these days are still able to experience that. I have had other sort of camp experiences that maybe I'll talk about in some other videos. Namely, there was Camp Tawingo and music camp. Also magical experiences. But anyway, I'll end it here. I'll see you in the next one.